Good morning and welcome back to the session on organizational behavior. The first chapter of the subject organizational behavior. So let us move forward and look into the development of this subject. So this subject mainly has three theories which has been earlier studied in the principles of management. The three theories are scientific management, administrative management, and Hawthorne experiments. Much of the behavioral aspects were seen in the Hawthorne experiments. In the case of scientific management and administrative management, the stress was on the methods of work, how to work, how to reduce the number of movements, all these things were there, and how to monitor the employees, how to manage the relationships. But these theories did not give any aspect of behavior or how could a particular behavior be resolved. Whatever came into light was due to the Hawthorne experiments, which was conducted from 1924 to 1932 for a period of 9 years. These experiments gave a lot of insights as to how the behavior of the employees vary, how it is affected by the variables of the environment in which they are working. All these things came into light. So now let us see into this theory, that is Hawthorne experiments, which is the foundation, base and pillar of the organizational behavior. And it is because of this research that organizational behavior is taking the shape of a discipline. So let us look into this experiments. Let us try to understand what were the behavioral aspects discovered and emphasis laid on the same. So as mentioned, Hawthorne experiments. It was conducted in the then Western Electric Company, currently GE, Chicago in the US, and it was very popular then to manufacture the telephone system Bell. So telephone system Bell is the earlier telephone system, what we otherwise know it as the landline system, and the initial model then was different than what we have seen currently in pictures, which will be showed up in the next slide. And that one particular place had about 30,000 employees. When these experiments were conducted for a period of 9 years, from 1924 to 1932, 30,000 employees were working. So, even though the company gave most of the benefits, sickness leave, paid leave, and provident fund, the pension, and all these benefits, even those benefits were given, the employees had certain dissatisfaction and productivity was not up to the expected mark. So this was actually a cause of worry for the management, as the even in spite of providing so much of benefits, the workers were not working up to the required level. So for these reasons, this research was conducted by Elton Mayo and his team. So this is the picture of the then, that is the Chicago plant, the Hawthorne plant of the General Electric Company, Chicago, in the year 1924. So you can see how how vast the building is. A very huge building accommodating 30,000 employees. So this is the structure of the telephone system, where you have one is the receiver piece, which is held near the ear, and the other is the mouthpiece, which you hold in front of the mouth, and that is how the communication would have happened in the case of the telephone systems, because these are very old, the first new models of telephone systems which were used then. So the telephone system then were totally different than what we have seen in the current years. So I hope this is clear. This picture is sufficient for you to understand and imagine as to what kind of work the employees were doing, what kind of product was being manufactured in the plant in those days. So, few details about the Hawthorne experiments. So, the first point is the name of the researchers, that is the behavioral scientists led by Elton Mayo, Whitehead, Roethlisberger, and William Dixon. So these four behavioral scientists formed a team and conducted this experiment, which is popularly called as the Hawthorne experiments, as it was conducted in the Hawthorne plant of the General Electric. So here first there were four kind of experiments conducted by them. The first one was the illumination experiment, which they carried from the year 1924 to 1927, mainly focused on the lighting in the working place. The second was the relay assembly test, which was conducted from 27 to 28, a period of 2 years. The next was the mass interviewing program, where two-thirds of the employees, two-thirds is to mean out of the 30,000, two-thirds will make it for 20,000. So 20,000 employees were interviewed in 1928 to 1930. And the last experiment, the bank wiring observation room experiment, conducted in 1931 and 1932. And this experiment gave major insights into the behavioral differences showed by the employees. So now let us have a look in all these experiments one by one. So the first experiment was illumination experiment. It was mainly concerned with the experiment of lighting. Today what we see in the form of lighting is the tube lights or the LED lights. So similarly in those days where these employees worked together, light is anyways required, and this experiment was conducted with related to the light. So here the lighting was varied and they tried to see whether any physical aspect of the workplace affected the behavior of the employee. So the light was varied from very bright light to a very dim light, and the dim light was so dim that it would be like the moonlight, the full moon light. So like this, to this extent the light was varied, and they tried to see what is the effect on the productivity of the employees. That is, how will they perform when even the light is so dim where it is not possible to see anything right in front of them. So with that hypothesis they had started this experiment. So you can see there illumination experiments were undertaken to find out how varying levels of illumination, amount of light at the workplace, a physical factor, affected the productivity. The hypothesis is to mean the assumption was that the higher illumination, productivity would increase. But for the surprise of the behavioral scientists, they found that even if the light was very dim, the productivity was still constant and high, which was much opposite to the expectations of the behavioral scientists. So that proved that this particular experiment proved that even in spite of the physical factor being affected, that is the light was very dim, but still the employees could produce the same number of products as they produced when the light was very bright. So this showed that there is something affecting, some psychological factor which is affecting the employee morale, and they are, that is, working, and this is a different kind of behavior which they displayed. So this led to the further experiments. So the next experiment which they conducted was the relay assembly test room experiment, 1927 and 28. So these are the pictures of the relay assembly room which was there in those years, almost a century behind, a century back. You can see how the employees, the women employees, are sitting in front in the table and assembling those relay machines. Relay is because then these phones were connected through all wires and cables, and that is why these machines were required to communicate the message. And on the right hand you can see the machine, that is the relay assembly machine, which would be prepared by these employees. So this was the work which they were doing, and the employees were tested in this particular experiment. So what they had done to conduct this experiment, they made two groups consisting of 5 female employees, and they were given work. So in this group what they had done is, one, they had given they gave increase in that is pay, and the pay was such that the pay of one person was based on the productivity of other 5 in the group. So that means even if I work well, even though if I do very well work and I am able to get, the eligible to get the benefit, I wouldn't get if the group did not perform. So it was very important that everyone in the group perform, and only when the group performs, everyone would get the, that is, incentives or the bonus. That was the first thing, and that was achieved. The second was they gave the rest periods. That is what we have a break. Like you have it in the class house, the same way breaks were given. So first the break, they gave a break of one, that is only one break of 10 minutes. Then they made it to 2 breaks of 5 minutes. Then they increased it to give an hourly break. So here what happened is, when one break was given, when 2 breaks of 5 minutes were given, the productivity was constantly high. But when the number of breaks increased from more than 2, that is 3, 4 and so on, the employees complained that they lost, that is, continuity. Because of the frequent breaks, they lost the continuity, and that led to decrease in the productivity. So you can see there in the 4th point, increase in the frequency of rest periods led to decrease in productivity. And the last change they made during this experiment was changes in working hours and the number of working days. So in those days the work was for 6 days and it would be 8 hours, 9 to 5. So what they had done in change in working hours was the number of hours was increased from 9 to 6 and the number of working days was reduced from 6 to 5. Currently what we see in the corporate lifestyle, that work style, that is Saturdays are off, Saturday, and that work is compensated on other weekdays. So they are working for 5 days in a week. So these tests were done and they found that it is successful, and there is some behavioral aspect which will be affecting the productivity. The next experiment which was conducted was the mass interviewing program. So the mass interviewing program was conducted from 1928 to 1930, and as I mentioned, 2/3 of the employees were interviewed. So interview of about 20,000 employees were conducted from 1928 to 1930 to understand the attitude of workers towards the organization. So for the period of 3 years, 20,000 employees were interviewed. So when this attitude factor was to be considered, these were the outcomes which they saw as a result of conducting the mass interviewing program. So first was that complaint is a symptom of personal disturbance. That means the person may be having some problem at a personal level, and that is why the person is complaining. So it is very important to find out the root cause of the complaint. Next is that objects, persons and events are carriers of social meaning. That is to mean the employees are sentimental and every object which belongs to them or every person to whom they are related or associated would have had some meaning, and they couldn't imagine that they can lose all those things, either the person or the object. The next is personal situation of the worker is a configuration. So it in a configuration is to mean in a particular situation the person is affected by, the employee is affected by sentiments, desires and their own personal interest. It is there all these factors which will affect their behavior, and we may find that is a positive or a negative behavior. Next is the position or status of worker in the company. So the worker status would also determine the kind of behavior they would exhibit. And the last is their experience in groups. Social experience in groups. Social experience is to mean the interaction which takes place between the employees during work, in between the work, that is the during the breaks and after the work. So whatever the sharings they do related to work or personal life, all these things affected them a lot. So these were the findings of the mass interviewing program, which was conducted for a period of 3 years. This is a picture of the bank wiring room, and you can see how the employees are seated, like the students seated in the classrooms. The same way this was the workplace during those days, and this is the famously known as the bank wiring observation room experiment of 1931 and 32. This experiment was the huge source of information, and it gave a lot of insights as to how behavior is affected and how various factors are affecting the productivity of the employees. So you can see how they are seated with their respective machines side by side in a row. Tables are being put. So that is how the 30,000 employees were accommodated under one single roof. So let us see what is this experiment. So for this purpose of this experiment, male workers were selected and 14 of them were selected. 9 were wiremen, 3 soldermen and 2 inspectors. And what was their work? Their work was to attach wire to switches for certain equipment used in telephone exchange. So as you have seen in the earlier pictures, that was the work that was given to them, and they had to fix the switches, and they were paid hourly wage rate. So they were paid based on the number of hours they work in one day. And the group is to mean the 14 workers who were selected for the experiment. They were given a target of connecting 6,600 terminals. They were given the target of doing 7,300 terminals, but they would only do 6,600 terminals. So this was really a strange thing. Every group would try to achieve the target, but here the group was not trying to achieve the target. 7,300 was the target given to them, but they were doing only 6,600. So this interesting case gave out these findings. So what were the findings? The first one is fear of unemployment. What the employees thought is that if they achieved 7,300 target in a day, they thought if at that speed we worked, then there would be one day where there would be no work at all. So they would remain unemployed. So fearing that unemployment, what the workers did is they intentionally reduced the speed of working. The next is the fear of raising the standards. So fear of raising standards means they were currently given 7,300. In case if the group achieves 7,300 terminals, they feared the management may increase the level maybe to 7,500 or 7,700 or maybe 8,000 also. So they feared that the target would be revised again and they had to work again for a higher target. So because of that fear also, they worked slow. The next is protection of slower workers. So we know that not everyone works at the same speed and same efficiency. Some may be quick, some may be slow. So what would happen in case if the group achieved target, slow workers will not be able to achieve the given target and they may be thrown out of employment. So that was the one more reason for which the entire group would see that they produced less. And the last point is satisfaction on the part of management. So even though the group was given 7,300, they produced 6,600. But the management never questioned them or tried to ask them why were they working slow. What was the reason for the same? So this kind of satisfaction on the part of the management also made them produce lesser than target. So here what happened, this showed that even though the group of 14 members were there, there was someone who was an informal leader. That is, the person is not given officially the role of leader, but there was someone who would become informally a leader and the group would listen to that person's ideas and orders. So this is what is happening. There is informal thing, so that shows that people are affected by their neighbors and colleagues who are there in the organization. So behavior is a factor of so many aspects. It is not necessary that only personal problems affect. There are a lot many other professional problems also which will be affecting their behavior and their productivity. So as a total, what were the results or what was concluded from the Hawthorne experiments was that the first is social factors in output. That is, as we saw in the last experiment, that is of the bank wiring experiment, there was lot of social factors, that is the friends, the colleagues, they affected the productivity of the employees. The next is the group influences. So as said, the group decision affects each and every individual. Whatever the group decides, whether to achieve target or whether to not achieve target, will affect the performance of the individuals. Next is the conflict. There will be conflict when there are so many people. There will be conflict. There will be disagreements, difference of opinions, and this will affect the productivity. So it is up to the management to see that such conflict also gives a way to a positive behavior and they achieve the required target. The next is the leadership. As we seen in the last experiment, the fourth experiment of bank wiring observation, we found that even though there was no official leader, there was some unofficial leader who was leading the group. So whatever was his ideas and suggestions was religiously followed by the group. So that is the other factor which was found in the Hawthorne experiment. Next is supervision. So supervision is required to certain extent to see what the employees are doing. So and there is when there is supervision, the employees are automatically, that is boosted in this case in the of experiment, and the productivity was constantly high. The last factor is communication. There was a lot of gap of communication on the part of management and the employees. So this also led to some, or to say, dissatisfaction on the part of the employees, and employees were not performing up to the level. So and even on the part of the management to seek their to communicate, to speak to the employees, try to find out what was the reason for dissatisfaction was lacking. So that showed that communication is a very important factor. So these were the major findings of the Hawthorne experiments, and these experiments gave the boost to study the human behavior. And even to this day also, lot of studies being made on the human behavior, the behavioral aspect of the employees in the organizational context.